Could you imagine a basketball coach going an entire quarter just standing on the sideline watching the team play the game, said nothing, and then after the first quarter he's going, on that second play, it would have been better for you if you had maybe put two people on the point guard. No, he's on the sidelines reinforcing the strategy, reinforcing it in real time, and the players are getting feedback from him on what they can do in the moment to keep doing better.
Do you feel the pressure to grow your business, but doing so feels a bit like drowning? Welcome to Slow Growth Business, the show for business owners and leaders to quiet the noise and lead your business to success, one day at a time, slow and steady. If you feel your business is running you and you're ready to run it, you've come to the right place. Now, here are your hosts, business coaches Jimmy DeGroot and me, Kyle Bullock.
So we're here today to help you with your business, and we are retail business specialists. But you know what? This helps you in any business, really. And one of the things that we have learned throughout the years, and we've seen over and over again, is that people don't coach on the sales floor. When I mean people, managers or leaders don't coach their team on the sales floor. Some have really good agendas where they train their people and they've got really good training routines and regimens. And others, and more of these others, probably a gross number of them, is it just says, hey, go follow Sue around on the sales floor for a couple weeks and you'll get the hang of it. Or follow me around, just watch what I do. That tends to be pretty much the end of coaching. Right, Kyle? Am I right on this?
Yeah. The word coaching probably doesn't actually come up, or when it comes up, it's not properly used in the terms that we're talking about as far as what business coaching is, or sales coaching or employment coaching is.
Yeah.
What you described was a mentorship. Like, let me put you with so-and-so and just watch them work and then, best.
Right.
It's not what we're talking about.
Right. That's not what we're talking about. And, a lot of this, it stems back. I mean, if we're unpeeling the onion here a little bit, we're going to see that managers don't have sharply defined roles. They don't have sharply defined titles or the authority to back that up, right? That type of thing. A lot of us seem to be managers in title only, or responsibility or blame, And so, we can go back to that, and we'll look a little bit further into that in a future episode, because that's kind of where the problem starts. But let's start today from the standpoint of, I'm a manager or a leader / owner of a retail business, or any other business for that matter. And I want my people to incrementally get better. Slow growth, right?
Yeah.
And so let's talk, Kyle. I know you've got some amazing ideas on this. I do as well, because I always have amazing ideas. Yeah. Let's talk about some of your thoughts earlier that we didn't record that we should get on tape.
Okay. And there's one I'm going to pick on. And I'm sorry if I'm spicy. I've been all jazzed up with energy today. And we were talking about this earlier. And I was like, you know what? I don't like that.
Yeah.
So the thing I'm going to point out that I hear a lot, you hear it a lot too, is the one-on-one with employees. I want to have a one-on-one. So the idea is
I don't have time to do one-on-ones.
I need a one-on-one. They're not really effective. I don't have time for them. And I'm going, I hate one-on-ones. As a leader, I hate one-on-ones.
Yeah.
I hated it as an employee. I've been an employee in a one-on-one, and here's what it's like. It implies that you're my employee, Jimmy, and I'm going to pull you into my office. Maybe I close the door. This is weird.
Nobody likes that to start with.
Awful. It's like a sterile doctor appointment, and you're going to find out what's the prognosis? How bad is it? Right. So it's already weird that we're doing.
The joke we always had was, we after we've done this for a while, the joke we'd always have was, and bring your purse or bring your stuff.
Yeah. Oh, great.
Right. It had to be a joke, because otherwise it was just too tense.
It's
So,
weird.
okay, continue.
Yeah, well, you sit there and you're going to tell me if I've done a good job. And I hated that as an employee because I kept thinking, if I've done a bad job, why didn't you just tell me when I was doing it so I could
Right.
stop doing it? And if I've done a good job, why didn't you just tell me I did a good job so I could do more of it? I don't want to wait a week, a
Then,
month, a quarter, a year to find out, well, in your annual review, back
mhm,
in November, you really could have done no, 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 no. It's like,
right.
why didn't you say that in November?
Useless information right now.
And I think when people talk about one-on-ones, what they're hopefully, if at best they're getting at is that they can have time to tell someone in the moment when something's going well. But that's not the atmosphere or the environment that it makes sense to do it in. To lead your
Mhm,
team behind closed doors or pulling them aside one-on-one. Here's the scenario that I paint for you, Jimmy, earlier this morning as we were talking about some things. It's the idea of what a coach is. So let's stop being a manager and an owner. Let's be a coach for a moment to the staff. In particular, we were talking about, and we maybe talk more about this in a minute, but we were talking about what to do when the staff is standing around doing nothing and we want to get them to do something in our
right,
absence
right.
or when the door's not chiming.
That, by the way, folks, that's the biggest thing we hear is how do I
Yeah.
get my staff to do stuff when I'm not there? I always look on the cameras and they're sitting there looking at their phone, right?
Yep. It drives them crazy. Right. And so how do I get them to do stuff? Well, let's put our coach hat on for a second and let's stop thinking about one-on-ones where we tell them how it works, because let me paint a picture of an actual coach. I gave a couple examples, either coaching my kids' swim team or coaching a basketball team. Okay.
Yeah. And we have video now, so you can show us
I
by
can
example.
show. Well, okay, so my kids' swim team yesterday. I got a young swimmer in that group who is going to be a pretty competitive little guy, but he needs to work on some technique. So I throw him in the pool. We're going to work on the most difficult technique for him, which is the breaststroke. It takes timing, it takes movement, it takes some exact coordination and power. So I throw him in the pool and I say, okay, I want you to do, it's a pull, a kick, and then a glide motion. I want you to do that. I show it to him and I send him out and do it. And he does it terribly the first time.
Mm-hmm.
And I watch him
Right.
do it 3 or 4 more times. And then I say, come here. Have a seat next to me. Dry him off. Sit him on the bleachers next to him outside of the pool. And I go, Bobby, when you first jumped in the water, next time I want you to think about really straightening yourself as an arrow. Maybe in the future, consider how you can time your kicks better, because on that second kick, it was a little off. Me and this 10-year-old's looking at me like, what are you talking about? It's
Right,
like,
right.
I did that forever ago.
Yeah.
I've been doing it wrong this whole time.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So the other alternative is I'm going to get my suit on. I'm in the water. As he's doing it, I tap him on the feet and I go straight as an arrow. Okay. He fixes that. Then his arms are too wide. I tap him on the shoulder, tighten up. Then I show him how to do it. And I'm doing it in the moment with him. By the end of our session, he's a better breaststroker than he was when he began.
Yeah.
Okay. Basketball was the other analogy. Could you imagine a basketball coach going an entire quarter just standing on the sideline, watching the team play the game, said nothing, and then after the first quarter, he's going, on that second play, it would have been better for you if you had maybe put 2 people on the
Yep.
point guard. No, he's on the sidelines reinforcing the strategy, reinforcing it in real time, and the
Right.
players are getting feedback from him on what they can do in the moment to keep doing better. That's coaching. And great coaching is the ability to do that and inspire people in the moment, not in a one-on-one behind the closed doors session that happens
Right.
later on. That
A
makes no
week
sense.
later. Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
Okay, that's my
Yep.
rant.
No, that's a fantastic rant. Now, okay. So, not for example, the reality is that we often hear from people, I don't have time. I'm busy enough myself. I don't have time to spend with my people doing this. And I know that sounds kind of absurd when you hear it, but the reality is they don't have time. And I know how I've done it in terms of finding time for it. I love some of your ideas. So, let's kind of do a little back and forth. How did you find the time, or how do you coach your manager to find the time to do this type of thing?
I mean, I had a mindset shift when I was told that you don't not have the time, right? Like
Right.
you can't
Right.
afford not to do this
Right.
because you instilling the power of leading in other people, it makes your leadership exponential. So I can only do so much as one person, but if I can inspire 3 people to do things in the business with the company or whatever, that's 3 people doing it instead of 1.
Right. Yep.
So I can't afford not to do this. I
You
think that's
can't. And you know what? To that point, if you were an oil change mechanic or a or any type of mechanics, for example, you can't afford not to train your people, because if you don't train your people, that could be very expensive for you,
yeah. Yeah.
right? And we don't often see it in the retail world, but it shows up in lost opportunity, lost sales.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Yeah.
Sorry, I interrupted,
No,
but
no,
wanted
I
to
think
stress that point.
it translated for me to everything that I put my hands on, and I mean everything that I put my hands on, should be something that someone else can learn.
Right. Yep.
Who else in the business, in the organization can do it? No one?
Mm-hmm.
Who can I grab?
Yeah.
Come with me. Let me show you. And as soon as I can, I'm going to let you do it. And I'm going to stand on
Yep.
the sideline. And as you make mistakes, I'm going to help correct the course.
Yeah.
And like, so I have a new jeweler I'm training right now. And notice I'm not at the jewelry store doing that.
No,
Right?
you're here talking to us.
He's working on his own. But when I go help him, I give him a piece we're going to work on, and I'm not doing it. I'm going to watch him do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I just have to stand there like the literal basketball coach on the sideline and say, okay, that's a little bit too much heat. Back it off. Okay, now I want you to put the solder here. Great. Now I need you to cut the seal a little deeper. Do this. After a while, he doesn't even say all that stuff anymore,
Right.
but I'm letting him do it. And then after I've done that now for a month or so, I'm over here. I'm not even in my building. And I'm going to go over there in a little bit and I'm going to go assess his work and go, great, today's work, that I'm just tweaking it. But everything
Exactly.
I touch, I can delegate. What about you?
Mhm.
Because I don't know that I answered that question fully where I don't
No,
have
no,
time.
you're on to exactly my same line of thinking here. And that was early on as a manager, I determined that I did not want to, A, have to babysit my staff, B, go away from the store unsure about how things were going to be run. And so I used every opportunity of angst to be a training moment. For example, in the jewelry industry, we had this Maurice Lacroix watch. It was a Maurice Lacroix and it was a sphere. Okay. So the Maurice Lacroix sphere, very cool watch. I owned one myself. It curved around the wrist. But if you put that in a watch clamp,
Oh,
right, to take the back off,
yeah.
crush goes the spherical crystal. Okay. And now you got a huge cost. So when people would come up to me and say, I've got this fine watch, whether it was, whatever it was, I've never changed a battery in this before. Can you show me how? They wouldn't say, can you show me how? They would come to my office and say, could you do this for me? I've never done this before.
Yeah.
And then I would do the Kyle Bullock. I will show you how to do it. Okay. I will show you how to do it. As a matter of fact, just tell the customer it's going to be a little bit. I'm going to stand by you and coach you through doing it. I'm not even going to do it for you. And so everything like that. And so I used all of those as training opportunities, and not to be lazy, but to be able to scale my business was, how can I teach everybody to do these things so that I never have to do them again, and they could even do it better than me. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Well,
sometimes that's literally how I created the Train Retail sales training platform. And you're doing the management platform, praise the Lord, because you're amazing at it. That's what we do, folks, is we look at all of those little areas of how can we teach people to do this so that we don't have to do this forever. Now,
yeah.
not that I wouldn't do it. I'm not lazy. I will do it. I will always pitch in. But unless you empower your people to do things, and I know, folks, it is so hard. It is so hard to just do this. It'd just be easier if I do it myself. Hold on. It'll be faster if I do it myself. Yes, it will. Again and again and again and again and again and again. So unless you enjoy that kind of life, you've got to train other people to do the things that that need to be done to run the store efficiently when you're not there.
Yeah. There's a sense that there's so many fires to put out in the business, and I'm not making a ton of money, and I don't know what's going. There's things that you're worried about, that you're feeling stressed over,
Mhm.
and it means that I don't have time to do this. But I reiterate
Mhm.
what I was told, is that you can't afford not to do this,
Right.
because if you're struggling with cash flow, if you're struggling, you don't take profits out every month or at least every quarter. If you find that business is stagnating in some way, shape, or form, the only way that you're going to creatively get out of that isn't by applying more effort in other areas to make it go away. Now you're
Mhm.
just adding more to your plate. You have to let go of other things so you have space to think creatively in what you would say is a calm state of mind. And so you can't afford not to, because you need the space and the time to think,
Yeah.
to breathe.
Yeah.
And that's work, by the way. Thinking is
Yeah.
work, you know?
Exactly. So I don't want to walk away from this idea without asking you this. You had some great thoughts on a client we were talking with recently who said, how do I get my people to do things, when I'm not there? How do I look at the camera and they're looking at their phone. So, and that's a big one. That is one of the biggest questions I've ever gotten as a consultant. So Kyle, you have some great thoughts on that. I know you
Yeah.
do.
Well, and how about a shameless plug? Because I just did a video before this call
Okay.
answering that question in detail on our management platform.
Oh,
And I don't have time to get into it all here, but there's your
You
shameless
recorded
plug.
you recorded a management video since our last call?
Close to it.
All right. You're amazing.
I'm going to be very tired tonight.
All right.
It's been a busy day, but because we were talking about it, I was inspired. I was like, I got to record this. So I threw it on, but here's a gist. Okay. Cause we got asked that question a lot. They're just standing around doing nothing. Couple questions that you got to ask yourself. Are they really doing nothing? I mean, are they really doing nothing? What does this look like? Me on Facebook and Instagram, or me texting and working with a client?
Right.
It
In
looks the same.
Podium or Client Book or whatever your app is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is the video I'm looking at something a client sent me, or something I want to send to a client? Is it me just on a break? I've been working for the last hour with a client. I made a sale and I just need 5 minutes to turn my brain off.
Mhm.
So what's really, really ask yourself what's going on. Next is the work getting done? Okay. Is the job getting done? If the job for them is, I am a salesperson, did they make the sales that week,
Mhm.
that month? If they are a goldsmith, are they getting jobs done on time? If they're a mechanic, are cars getting done on time? Just ask yourself, is the job getting done? If it's not, you have an employment problem. Let's fix that.
Right.
If it is, and they're on their phones because they got the job done already, how mad can you really get because they did their job? Now you're just mad that they're not doing above and beyond their job. And how mad should you get at someone who's just not going above and beyond?
Right. Right.
Which leads me to the point of this conversation we were having, which is, are you offering this person a job or a career? Because if you're offering them a job, then don't expect and don't be upset when you don't get more than the job getting done. The analogy I used was, you go to Walmart or Target and someone's job is to stand there and do the checkout or observe the checkout line. And there's no
Mhm.
one in the checkout line because there's no carts being checked out right now. That
Right.
person is just standing there.
They're
They're
not
not,
cleaning.
nope, they're
They're
not
not
restocking
merchandising the checkout area.
because it's a job. And you know
Right.
what? That's okay. Let's not be ignoble about that. It's okay for people to have jobs
Right.
and just do the job, because
We
maybe
need
that's
people to have
not where
jobs.
they care to, grow up. They don't see a
Yeah.
future there. But if you want your people to have a career, that means they have to have an upward trajectory. You have to show them a future, which means, yeah, maybe more pay, more responsibilities, number two. And most importantly, number 3 is a purpose. If you ain't showing them number 2 and number 3, then what you're going to get when they've done their job,
Yep.
sitting around. And why on earth would you be upset with them for doing their job and getting
Sure.
it done quick, and now they don't have to do anything else?
Yep.
If you want
Yep.
that to change, you have to show them it's a career. And that means you have to be giving them responsibility that they want and a purpose that inspires them.
Yep.
And if you're not,
And you
then it
said
won't change.
something very important. Yeah, you said something very important this morning too, and that was the scoreboard. You do not go to a sporting event and there's no scoreboard, right? The scoreboard is what motivates us. Okay. And so that scoreboard does not have to be dollar oriented. It could be, any other key performance indicator that you determine that that's important.
Yeah.
But they have to be able to celebrate the metrics if the metrics are met and surpassed. And so you got to give them a scoreboard,
On that note, just to go down that trail, it's funny. I'm a competitive swimmer. I love swimming. And if you ever watch a meet, the first thing we do a sprint. I just had a state meet and I was just competed. And my goal was to drop time. The first thing that swimmers who compete, the first thing we do when we hit the wall and we've come back from our sprint is we all look. We look at the scoreboard. And I'm looking at my time because I wanted to drop. And I'm like, what did I get? Okay, 27 on a 50. Okay, great. So that's the instinct because I have purpose and I have desire. And so, yeah, Jimmy, you're right. One of the tools you can use to inspire people is a scoreboard, but it better be a score that they care about.
Right.
Like,
Exactly. Exactly. Something that's important to them or to the team in general.
Because why would they care about making you more money if you make more money and they don't get anything out of it? They don't get more responsibility, purpose, or money or time. It just costs them more. Like that's just you're back to the job territory,
Mm-hmm.
What are your favorite scoreboards, Jimmy? What do you like to show people to inspire them that leads them to purpose and leads them to responsibility that excites people on teams?
Well, the scoreboard, we often hear, and you and I often preach that people aren't necessarily motivated by money. Some people are. Okay. Some people are motivated. You and I are motivated by time. How many times do you and I chat, or I can't chat because I'm out on a walk with my wife and my puppy Oliver, and you're swimming, or you're doing some swimming things with the kids, or whatever. So those are things. I'm rabbit trail. Sorry, Jimmy, but that's how I go. So my scoreboards always involved a few different things, and they were closing ratios. That was important to us. We wanted to make sure that we were, customers were leaving happy. Number of reviews, Google reviews, that was always very important. We always wanted to strive for those. So, and the reason I bring up reviews is because that was a perfect example of non-monetary. Customers happy. That's what we wanted. So that was very important to us. And so we knew if customers were happy, everything else would follow. Everything else would follow. So I would say that's my favorite scoreboard. And how about you guys?
Oh, yes. I mean, we have revenue goals and we have maybe some personal goals. I'll tell you one I was just thinking of that's a non-monetary goal, but we did it at Christmas for several years running, where along the back by the register, there were stockings. And each of the stockings was the name of a charity that one of the team picked out that they cared about. Humane Society,
Nice.
Children's Home, that kind of thing.
Love it.
When they made a sale of a certain amount, the customer got a token. And they got to take that token and they got to put it in the stocking of their choice. So they would vote on it. And what we would tell the customer says, what we're going to do is we're going to take X number of dollars, the percent of sales for the month, or 10,000 or 5,000, whatever it was. We're going to divide it among the charities based on how you voted. And the salespeople got to pick the charities. We didn't. And so then they were working for a cause. So every sale those years, they were like, I had one staff member who loved the Humane Society. And so she goes, she'd make a sale, and for every 1,000, they got a token. And she goes, here's this. That one's mine. And she would get real jazzed up and excited. And And the staff couldn't wait to open the stockings at the end of Christmas and see how many things they got to be divvied up
Yeah.
towards their thing. That was fun. That was a
Yep.
really cool way to give purpose to our team and help them see what mattered to them translate into their job, you know?
Yep. Yeah. One other little quick story about money not necessarily being the primary motivator is I would offer my staff incentives for buying jewelry from us. Okay, at a greatly reduced price, or it would include points towards jewelry. They said we would rather have in-store credit for jewelry than you give us money, because I had a lot of ladies working for us at the time, and that was, hey, if I get money, he's just going to spend it on our gas bill or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or something stupid. I want something for me. And so I just thought that was kind of neat. That was fun. That was our little fun thing. And when she'd show up with something fun on her finger, there was a tremendous amount of pride in that.
Yeah.
So my encouragement, and I know it's Kyle's as well, is find the things that individually motivate your team. And offer a variety of things that are incentives for hitting goals and for hitting metrics. And then the other thing too is, like, we started this off saying nobody's doing coaching. So you know what? Find that time in your schedule. Make that time in your schedule, because like Kyle said in the beginning, how can you afford not to? And spend your time with your team. You initially called it with a consult with another business person, white space in your calendar, right?
Right.
This is white space where you're not in your office, you're not on your chair, you are out in front with your people, right?
And here's
In your
a great
calendar.
way if you're going, I don't have that time now, where do I find it? You're already doing it. A great coach is going to look at what she's doing now. At this moment, when you stop listening to this podcast and you're working on the business, and I want you to think about who on the team can do what I'm doing right now. You grab them, you pull them in, you give them as much of the task as you can, and just start talking them through it. If they're sitting around doing nothing and you want to give them a career, think about what you're going to do right now. Grab one person that you think can do it reasonably well and have them go with you.
Yeah.
And
love it.
at the end of all of this, to tie all the coaching concept together, coaching is, I'm doing it in the moment, on the regular. Forget the one-on-one formalities. I'm going to do this as the game's being played, right?
Nice.
And celebrate victories and coach the team on their weaknesses. I need an incentive to help them. I need it to be on their why. Give them a purpose and a reward. Now, with that in mind, I want you to remember it takes time. This is the Slow Growth Business Podcast. And doggone it, for those people we've worked with who actually take the time, and you can attest to this, Jimmy, because we're seeing the fruit of this in a client now that has taken a few months, and I do mean months, to work on staff that they thought previously had already met their capabilities and their capacities.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, we're seeing it. We've reorganized them. We've given them new tasks, new duties, and we're starting to see that cultural change happen, and there's so much more opportunity for them to be had. But it does take time. It can take 6 months or more before you really start to see the bud of that growth happen. So take the time, make it slow, slow and steady.
It's worth it. It is so worth it. And it's going to be a little painful at first. It's for me, it took a good year for me to, to train all the things that I needed to do to feel good about walking out of that door to go play golf with a customer or what have you, to do anything, and to know that my team was going to, thrive without me and do just well. So do just fine. And beyond. All right, guys. Hey, we've taken a lot of your time. Thanks for listening. You are awesome. And always reply with questions or comments in the comments below, or send anything you like to Jimmy at Train Retail or Kyle at trainretail.com. And we'd love to chat with you. Kyle's biggest craziness and sickness and weirdness in his life is, the bigger the problem, the happier he is. He's weird like that. So make Kyle happy and send us your big weird problems. And And then I'll try to act like I know what I'm talking about too. It helps. So,
You do.
all right, guys.
We hope you leave this episode a little better than when you first began. If you'd like more resources to grow your business slow, steady, and consistently, check out our on-demand video catalog at trainretail.com. Or if you have a question or frustration we can help address in your business, write to us about it. We love to help solve big, ugly problems. So hit us up at kyle@trainretail.com or jimmy@trainretail.com. Good luck out there, and we will see you next time.